I don't know about you, but every time I set my head onto something related to photography, like a photography adventure, I get this tingling sensation on my belly. And as I'm gearing up, I already have a clear, concise idea of the images that I want to create. And the thing is, when I get to the spot that I want to be, the very first thing I do is to do the images on my mind. And then, if time permits, and generally time is very generous with me, I search for alternate image that in the meanwhile already stormed my brain.
Easy access, they said. Oh my, this is tiring. Carrying a large format camera uphill is not my idea of fun.
I also do own an electric car. And what some people actually think it's not very good, I think it's a blessing. This meaning every 200 kilometers fueling up or charging up the car. It's actually very nice when you think of it and when you do a plan on the whole trip with several stops. Photographically speaking, it's really good as you get to know other things besides the things that you're planning on shooting.
So primarily I'm going to photograph that tower, well, the remains of the tower, and then if I still have time, I'm going to photograph that little piece over there. Let's see if I still have light to do it once I've said everything. So sometimes you need to work in a hurry because the light conditions are just fading, which was the case now. I just photograph a dead part of the tower and I will put the images right here on your left side of the screen. And I'm going to shoot now that little part over there, and then I'm going to head back home because it's starting to be cold. Too cold for a little Portuguese like me. Well, I'm not that little anyway, I'm 6'5".
And the second shot was okay. None of them are portfolio shots, but I mean it was actually worth the effort to do all these kilometers. But speaking of kilometers and trips, let me run you through all the steps I need to do in order to make this all possible. As you know from previous videos, I do animal rescue, and I have several animals with me at my house, animals that never got adopted for this or that reason. And some of them are too weak, so I need to take them out to the street by hand. Their well-being is one of my major concerns, so I have the house really well warm with a fireplace on or with the airco, just for them to be very comfortable. And with that out of the way, I can concentrate on the trip itself. And the first step is to choose the film. The first box that I have is Ilford FB4. I got this box for around 20 euros. It's out of date, but out of date for 2 years, so there's no worries whatsoever. 25 sheets for 20 euros instead of 80 euros. It was a very good deal. The second box that I have, it's Adox CMS20, and it's a film that I absolutely love, and it's now very rare to find. I love to develop this in Rodinol, and I love the contrast that it gives. My third choice is Foma Pan 100, and there is nothing wrong with Foma Pan 100. You can develop this with any developer. It turns out great as long as you know how to do things. And the last box that I have is RetroPan 320. And while there is nothing wrong with RetroPan, it's a very retro look with a very soft touch. I actually got this in the wrong shape. Let me put it this way. In medium format, I don't like the 645. It's somewhere between 35 and medium format, something there in the middle. It's like that 9th grade kid that doesn't have long hair, has this long hair just till the ears. It's not long or short. The same happens with this film because this is 9x12, so it's slightly smaller than 4x5 and very bigger than 6x7. So it's just there somewhere in the middle, not medium format and not big format. And this is my what's in my bag camera moment, and also trying to justify why does it freaking weight almost 2 tons. This leads me to another question, is when is it enough? How many lenses should you take? And to me, I'm not taking them all, of course, and it's never enough. I always, when in place, I always find a reason to judge myself for not taking this or that lens as well. There's also a reason why my Petzval lenses are somewhere between 160 to 220. And the thing is, they all act differently. They're not exactly the same kind of lens. They all have different swirls.
The other thing you need to know is that you need to also load the film, not just, take the camera and take the lenses. You need also to use film. And for that matter, I can explain. I have already told you about this on a different video a few months ago, but I will re-explain it again. You need to do this in utter darkness. You pull this back like this, you open the flap like this, you feel the notch on the film, which is right about here, and you insert it like this. Quite simple, just close it and flop. Then you turn around and you do the same on the other side. It's very, very simple. So when then in the camera you want to expose the film, you remove this and this part is exposed like this. Don't worry, I already damaged this film a few months ago, so it's perfectly fine. I'm not, destroying brand new film. I have like about 10 of these ones, like just laying around, if you want to see it, just like, These ones, the first ones are 9x12s, which I don't use that much. The other ones are 4x5s, and I have several others on the camera packs.
And later that night I had to reload all my 4x5 packs. This meaning 6 shots of Ilford FP4 ready to go for tomorrow's photographic adventure in Alentejo. And what was left now was to make a plan on having places where I can really charge my electrical car. Otherwise I'll be grounded and that's not much fun. And after forgetting to charge the car overnight, the following day was the day for the big trip, which gladly meant a pit stop of about 30 minutes to stretch my legs and grab a coffee. Now, the place that I'm about to photograph is an abandoned church that is about 150 clicks away from where I live, in the middle of the rural area of Alentejo. And Alentejo is also known to be the barn of Portugal, meaning that agriculture, sheep and oxes are absolutely everywhere.
I just hope that there is no wild bull around or something like that. This is the thing about photography, you need to take some chances. Otherwise you'll get images just like anyone else. This is a very steep hill that I've been going up for the past 15 minutes. But at least on this one, no one told me that it would be easy. As a matter of fact, there was no one there to tell me something. I don't know if in English it exists the expression that doing love is like running a marathon. Of course, that person has never carried a large format camera uphill, otherwise it would be. Doing love or sex is like carrying a large format camera with no cigarette at the end, because I don't smoke. Memes. Meme. This is as far as I'll get, but it's a bit too windy, but it will do. So I just have my 110 Petzval lens in the camera, and I'm going to do a vertical composition as always. I always prefer vertical compositions than horizontal compositions. So you can see it from here. It's a vertical composition of what's just about there. And now I'm going to measure it. So I'm going to measure for the shadow areas to be on zone 3 and the highlights areas to be on zone 7. Let me just see. So first, shadow, And then memory, where I have memory here, and now I want the highlights. There's my highlights over there. Now, average, F11, I need to be really fast. So, first shot, 1, 2, 3. There you have it. I think that's done.
And I like the swirls. And I also like the idea that the barbed wire is there. And also do notice that the entrance and the barbed wire are in focus. Then there is an area out of focus which swirls, and then there is the church which is again in focus. This is something that I don't see module lenses do. Having two areas completely apart in focus with an area in the middle out of focus.
It's the very first one, and now it's the very last one with this lens. I'm going to swap the lens for another one. I'm going to stop with my Petzval lenses and with my shutter, and I'm going to bring another lens, a bit more modern, 90 millimeters, and I have the Schneider lenses. And the reason why is that with the 90 millimeters, I want to use a red filter because I think it would bode well with it. See, it's the kind of situation that a dark blue sky going almost black or tend to go black would work just fine. This 90 millimeter lens that I have, it's a really wide angle one. It's a big bulky, but it's actually the very first lens that I got for this camera. Actually, the guy that sold me the camera gave me this lens, and he gave it to me thinking that this was the f8 version of the camera, of the lens, sorry. But he didn't give me the f8 version of the lens. He actually gave me the f5.6, which is actually worth a bit more than the camera. That is sharp.
I actually ended up doing two images, one normal and one with the red filter on this 90mm Schneider lens.
So I'm going to do one with and one without. So at 250, schluck, it's a 5.6.
And I could have shown you already the photo right here, but I decided to wait until the last shot so you can compare with the red filter and without the red filter.
So she's pretty much in a very standard position. She's leaning backwards so I can get the most out of this 90mm lens. 90mm is the equivalent to a 28 in what people call today full frame. Idea is to capture this completely in a vertical position. I'm going to maintain the f5.6 and I'm going to give it 3 more stops. So it's at 250, I'm going to give it 3 stops. So 125, 1/60 of a second, 1/30 of a second. That's why I'm going to use the cable release, because 1/30 introduces a lot of camera shake. And this is what I really don't want now. So I'm going to take out the dark slide with one hand. The dark slide is off, and 1, 2, 3, and 1,000. There you go.
And here are the images side by side for your comparison. And although it's quite alright, the left one, I think I wanted a little bit more of a darker side of the sky than I actually got. So next time I'll just do 2 stops of compensation instead of 3.
I think it's time to patch everything up and go back home, and that's it. Home it is. This is the face of a happy man after shooting large format and realizing that he probably spent like €20 just in 5 images. Large format kit is expensive, believe me.
The delight of going home to the sights and smells of developing chemicals.
The light coming out of those trees is just gorgeous. This is a part of Portugal that I really love. It's very quiet, and it's just peace of mind, which I think that most of us actually need. Most of us photographers anyway.
And it's with this scenery of the day closing in that I bid you farewell, because I'm going to develop film and that's not very interesting to show you. But besides that, you already saw it in the past, so there is no point on showing it again. Once more, thank you for seeing this video till the end, and as we say in Portuguese, até à próxima.